Man and wild fauna must often compete with each other for survival. This is very true in Kenya during periods of drought. However, in a country where tourism is linked to parks and reserves represent 20% of its revenue, wildlife has become indispensable to man. Before rejoining Sean and his team in South Africa, Emma, the team's veterinarian, was asked to rescue a group of hippopotamuses at the Rumariti Swamp, a pond near the Liwa Downs Reserve, where, due to a shortage of food, the animals are dying one after another.
It's quite horrific. Look at it. How many are there?
There are two, and this is the mother, and this is the little one, the baby. So, it's terrible.
It is. Okay, this is only two of the animals we've seen that died of the drought. On the way in, we saw a lot of different animals that have died as well, zebra, cows, to name but a few. A lot of animals have died. Not enough food to sustain them. There's still about 6 to 8 hippos in this small amount of water that's left, but they're starving as well. So the aim is to at least try and capture some of them and try and translocate them to an area which can sustain them, so they can find some more food.
Emma and her guide James returned to Liwa Downs in northern Kenya, a private wildlife reserve which, thanks to charitable donations from its supporters, is the only reserve capable of repatriating the animals. Emma has a date with Mike, one of the reserve's directors, to discuss the project for saving the hippos.
We've identified that population, and we're in the process now of trying to feed these animals into a special box, like a 20-foot freight container, which we've redesigned and made a plan with a sliding door to try and feed these animals into the container. The door will get behind them, and then we'll load them onto a lorry and bring them back here and release them in the conservancy, into the swamp, which is a permanent water source. So we'll see if it works well, and then we'll have 6 or 8 hippo within Liwa, which will certainly add to the game viewing.
The first step is to determine the best place for the container based on the terrain and the location of the animals. Capturing hippos and getting them into a container is a rough challenge and a first for Emma and the men at Liwa. Everything has to be anticipated, from the handling of this massive steel to its interior layout. Plants and hippo excrement are the final touches in setting this prototype trap. What happens in the next few days will prove whether or not the preparation was effective.
This is the first stage for catching the hippo. We've got a little pile of lucerne here. The hippos are somewhere in there. I think we just saw a couple lifting their heads. Close to the water, and then the aim is to gradually feed them closer and closer to the crate, which is about 200 meters away. and with any luck we should catch them in a few days. But as I said, the first stage is to feed them as close to the water as possible so they realise that there's going to be a food source here. We've been watching these two hippos getting closer. Now the temperature's a bit cooler, they're probably going to hopefully come out soon and start feeding, just so we can get them used to feeding. Possibly there may be a problem. You can hear there's a tourist camp just next door to the swamp. If you can hear there's some singing and dancing going on, and this might be putting them off coming out. These hippos are used to people, and so there is a tourist camp nearby. So they may not come out tonight. Or they'll come out when it's dark and quiet. I may be wrong.
The hippos usually leave the water at nightfall for 7 or 8 hours to graze on a variety of greenery.
One nearly came out of the water then, started to come out of the water, but I think they've changed their mind. They're going to take their time to come out tonight.
Opinions vary about how the lighting will affect the animals. Will they run away as the specialists predict? Light, however, is imperative for filming them.
The two hippos have been out and been feeding for about the last half an hour, and they've eaten the whole bale. So they're obviously hungry, which looks good for the eventual hippo capture.
The huge female begins to get worried, and the rest of the group is invisible. Emma knows she mustn't over-insist if she's going to gain their confidence.
Same thing tomorrow.
Sean and his team are in Mkambati in one of South Africa's most beautiful natural reserves. Located on the coast of the Eastern Cape province, it is also surrounded by 11 kilometers of marine reserve. The mission is to capture about 100 wildebeest in order to maintain a good balance of flora and fauna.
Open the left-hand one hand.
The capture is difficult because the terrain is open, thus making the trap more visible to the animals. Once again, John has to use all his talents to drive the animals inside from his helicopter.
It's a long bum, I'm tired. Start closing slowly, Arnold. Slowly, 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 slowly. Oh, the truck's coming. Hey, my girl. I'm doing a fly. No? Sounds like a lion, eh? Right, Jimmy?
Sean was lucky since some of the animals were already in the defense position.
It's defensive mechanism. They go down onto their knees and then they sit and they fight. There's sometimes what happens, they all get in a circle and they all got their heads sticking up and all the babies go behind them. And they sit there growling at you, trying to fight you.
After some initial observations, Emma has an appointment with Mike at the Rumaruti swamp to set up the capture strategy.
That's quite quick.
It is. It's amazing. They're obviously seriously hungry. And I don't know how many have actually gone in to feed over the period of the night, but the guys think that they've, one has gone in and fed a little bit and they come out, and then maybe another one's gone in. So it shouldn't take more than a few more days before these things all are in there. And the more food we put in there, the longer they'll stay in. And hopefully within the next week we'll get our chance. My one worry, as you were saying, is the amount of room that we've got in here. Because they're pretty big animals. Kweli? Really? He reckons there'll be no problem.
Really?
He reckons you can get 4 in there. No problem.
Pygmy.
So exactly, pygmy hippo, but we'll have to see. But if we get 4 in here,
Yeah.
in the whole box, and then we'll close the door behind them, then
Yeah.
we're doing well.
The fodder is once again abundantly laid out to continue to encourage the hippopotamuses to approach the container. In winter, hippopotamuses look for heat. Their perspiration includes a reddish mucus, which, as it dries, acts as a sunscreen and enables them to stay in the sun without burning their skin.
The hippos are eating well. They've got used to us feeding the lucerne, and they're getting closer and closer to the container and getting used to the container. So hopefully today we might see some action in the container. So we're going to go later on and watch the hippos and see if so far they've put their heads and front feet into the container, so we may be lucky and they may go into the container today. But as with any animal, there's no guarantee, and it's up to them, and it's their timing that's important.
A surprising turn of events compromises the possibility of a group capture. The container has become a territory to defend for the animal already inside.
The first female went fully into the container and was eating. We've just had a bit of a disagreement as the female that was just outside the container wanted to come in at the same time. The first female wasn't having any of it. They've had about a disagreement for the last half hour, but the first female, I presume, has had her fill and walked off, and we've just got the second female going into the container now.
Capturing the hippopotamuses will take much more time than expected, and Emma has to go back to South Africa to help Sean and the team with the captures at Mkambati. On the magnificent Indian Ocean coast, John and Sean have promised to catch some crayfish in honor of Emma's return to the team. But they seem even harder to capture than the wildebeest. The team takes advantage of the break to enjoy a well-deserved meal. Not having caught any crayfish, Emma has to tell John and Sean about her Kenyan adventures around a classic, but nevertheless tasty, grilled chicken.
You got that, Ian?
Yeah.
Today is the last day for capturing wildebeest, but the wind is blowing violently over the reserve. It's going to take all of the men's energy to keep the canvases down and to anticipate the reactions of the animals. John will have to take some risks, leading them into the trap.
It's got a nice now. The wind is blowing a hell of a storm. We're just worried that the plastic might blow up. You can hear him struggling in the front there as well. He's not really in perfect flying conditions. Go. Faster, 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 faster.
Gerhardt, the reserve's administrative director, stops taking pictures to give Sean a hand.
That's it.
After her stay in Kenya, Emma has lost the rhythm needed for the capture and twists her ankle running. For the moment, no one can help her.
Okay. Ready? This guy's blind as well, man. Yeah. The one eye, eh? Yes. Bala! Bala ma go.
Yeah, on one side.
What are you calling, Emma? Gogo.
Who said that?
Stephen.
Say it to the face. Stephen starts now.
Stephen said it.
Now the team has to separate the males to divide them up among the groups of females.
So the big bulls, only these ones like this, eh? Okay, so we're going to split them. Let them come past, split them, load them. Okay, let's go. Ready? Let's split these babies. Go forward some more. Come, Eshwood. Come. Okay, let's split chat. Split. Take him as well. Okay. Split, Eshwood. Okay, split. Now there's just one here that we've over-tranquilized. Showing experimental symptoms, which we're going to now inject. As soon as Emma gives me the injection, I'll give him the injection to hopefully sort it. Split. And I'll just do this one here. Okay. Eshwood, should we try to get this big bull in first? Take these two, put them at the back. Okay. Lift your board. Okay. Plan B. Let's go up again.
All the animals have now been captured. Wildebeest are always controlled during transport because of the diseases they can spread. These have been given a clean bill of health by the administration and can therefore inhabit new territories without danger. Mike has good news for Emma. The hippopotamuses have been saved, and their satisfied groans attest to their newly refound happiness. Hippopotamuses are key animals in the tourist industry and will help provide the resources necessary for the protection of this country's rich natural environment.